I'll start off by saying it's great to see you again.
You too.
True or false, this has been on your radar since Fight Club?
On my radar, yeah. I read it that year.
Wow.
I read it the year we were making that. Now that can make it distort the reality, which is I read it and then we were making Fight Club and then I directed a movie and then I made another movie, and so years went by and I knew I wasn't gonna be able to get at it right away. But it was, there's a process that's going on that I believe in. I think sometimes when things are complicated, you need to let the brain work on them for a while, and I did.
It was one of those that you're like, I want to get to that, and then it finally happened.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. I was saying before the camera started rolling that you feel like you're part of it as an audience member. You don't really know what's going on, the twists and turns. That, and also what else drew you into this story?
Well, no, I really like that you said it that way, because that's we sometimes, we read reviews, we do these things, and people get very focused on plot, but I don't actually think that's the way the mind works in a good movie. When I think about L.A. Confidential or Chinatown, movies I love, I can't tell you today what the plot of L.A. Confidential is. What I remember is that about 2 minutes into that movie, my brain went, oh, I am just very happy to be here. Like, the music was right, the cars looked right, the people were serious, there was no wink wink, and you felt like you go through a portal into that world, and if the characters are compelling, you will take that ride, you will drift in it. And I think that's the pleasure of those films, the feeling of being transported in a way where you go, this feels real, this feels great,
Well, as the credits were rolling, my one-word reaction to myself was, looked at the screen, I went, wow. So your character has Tourette's syndrome.
Yes.
And I'm curious, did you research it? Did you study it? How did you prepare for that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, and to me, you always got to bend things through. Like, nobody's Humphrey Bogart, right? And nobody's Jack Nicholson, right? They each has their things. This character was it was the right kind of detective for me. He's an underdog with a really, really unique condition, and his condition has components that are an advantage for him. His mind can remember things in ways, but where, like when the blonde hits on him in the bar, where Bogart would be smooth, my guy is a hot mess. You know what I mean? Like he trips himself up and gets in his own way. And when you go at something like that, I think the thing is, of course, you're going to do the work to understand the nature of something unique like Tourette syndrome or obsessive compulsive disorder, but half the challenge is more, how do you see the human person apart from that condition? You know what I mean? Like the performances I love in that vein, like Daniel Day-Lewis in My Left Foot, it's not just that he represents his physical disability in a very credible way. It's more that he also is a fully, he's also kind of an SOB to people too. You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
Like it's the fact that within it you get the full humanity, and I think that those kind of characters, I think people like to root for those kinds of characters, because when the rest of the world is putting them down or underestimating them, and you're inside the team with them, you pull for them and you feel good about yourself pulling for them. You know what I mean? They remind us it's better to be on the side of the underdog.
Sir, it is great to see you again.
Oh, thank you.
Fantastic movie.
Great.
It's kind of a different type film. It really does keep you guessing until the very end. So my question to you today, my first question for you, how different of a role was this for you than anything else you've done?
It's hard to say. It's a very New York film. It was unusual to have a director, writer, actor, leading this film, being the director of this film. As far as the role, I don't know. Every role is different to me. I really don't have a perspective.
But there's a suspense element to this film.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm curious, as you were filming, could you feel that? It's a very suspenseful story.
Yes. My character, without creating a spoiler, I hold the key to some of the secrets. So I had to be sometimes when I'm working on a movie, I feel like you play the scenes and slowly you'll kind of understand the narrative. But in this, I had to really understand the narrative inside out because I hold some of the secrets to what unlocks the puzzle.
A lot of people watching us right now are going, okay, now I'm going to see this because I want to know what he's talking about. You mentioned the fact that, right, that Edward Norton is your director. Yes. What is it like to share scenes, though, with the guy that's directing you?
It's good. I mean, I've done it before with other actors and an actress. It makes everything fluid. What can you liken to it? So, it's like, use a sports analogy. Why not? It's like the quarterback that calls his own plays, It's not, there's no delay of waiting for the outside eye to reflect on what's just happened. He's in there with you.
Great analogy. I'm a big sports person, so it totally makes sense.
Okay, so that
even though my team struggle at points, not the Astros right now. I'm in a great place today for this one.
Good.
What is it about this story that you like the most?
I like the themes. In terms of my character, and many of the characters, I like the characters aren't who they seem to be, and in the process of telling the story, you get a different take on them. So that puts the way you view it. It makes you start to challenge the way things are. It puts your head in a different place.
I felt as if I was a detective in this movie too, trying to put pieces together. It's kind of like as a viewer, you were kind of part of it. I felt like I was involved, which is why I told people it's nothing I've seen before.
Right, and it also is greatly helped by there's this great central character played by Edward that's a very unusual, very unlikely hero, and I think he's very, I think people will relate to him immediately.
Is there a favorite genre that you have as far as roles?
Not really, but one thing that I do like physical roles because the place to start is always from a physical place, from a place of action. I'm not talking necessarily action like gun shoot 'em up action, but where demands are put on you physically, where your body gets put in motion. I like those roles because then once you get moving, everything starts to warm up and you get really fluid and you find things that you can't quite plan.
Congratulations on this role, this powerful movie. What spoke loudest to you about this story?
Well, when I first read the script, it was such a epic story, and I just thought it was so layered and sophisticated and grown up. Knowing that Edward Norton was directing it was a huge draw. I've been a fan of his work as an actor for such a long time. And also I'd never done a detective noirish drama before, so there was something really appealing about doing something really atmospheric and set in New York.
That actually is one of the characters I say. It's set in 1950s New York.
Yeah.
Did you have that feel, like looking around, were there things, costumes maybe that brought that out as well?
Oh, it was unbelievable. I mean, really getting to shoot in some of these iconic locations like Washington Square Park, Harlem, some of the streets of Brooklyn, which really have those brownstones. You don't have to do a lot when you've got that architecture. Just sort of move out the cars and put in those period cars and costumes. And it really is so transporting.
You mentioned Edward Norton is the director. He wrote and produced this as well.
Yeah.
Is there added pressure to do scenes with your director? I feel like if I, back when I was on the radio, if my program director was standing next to me, I'd be like, really, dude?
Yeah,
I'm kind of like...
It takes a minute to get used to that, transition, but actually Edward is, so well prepared, and because he's an actor as well, so he really empathizes with, what you need. He's in your shoes, he's in costume on the day, giving you notes, so it makes it more fluid, I think, to be able to make those transitions.
It's almost like you're part of the movie as you're watching this. When I was watching this, I felt like I was a detective.
Oh, wow.
Because you don't know really what's happening until the very end. So did that suspense element, could you feel that as you were doing this as well? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like as an audience member, I want to be kept guessing, I don't want to be like, oh, this is so predictable, I want to know that I'm sort of in it and really invested. And I think this story, there's so many twists and turns and lots of surprises. So yeah, it's really intriguing.
Without doing any spoilers, because no spoilers, do you have a favorite scene?
Oh, God, so many. I mean, you know, I love the scene in the jazz bar. You know, there's so much amazing music in this film. And Tom York wrote this incredible song, which Wynton Marsalis did a trumpet jazz arrangement to. And we have this sort of very atmospheric sort of scene in the jazz bar. So that's probably one of my favorites.
I mentioned my radio pass. That's one of my favorites as well because I was tapping my feet. I was like, this is incredible. All right, sum up this experience for us.
Oh, it's been an incredible experience. You know, this cast is so phenomenal, you know, between Edward Norton, Alec Baldwin, Bobby Cannavale, Willem Dafoe. You know, it's been a really epic New York journey.
And I'm going to add your name to that list as well. Great to see you again.
Thank you.
Awesome. Take care.